A year ago, the national average price for diesel was 95p a litre. Just 3 months ago, it was £1.09. Now it's £1.25. And we're luckier than most here in Greater Manchester. The average price in the northwest is 1.5 pence cheaper than nationally. The price of oil hit a new high yesterday, $132 a barrel. So it looks like petrol and diesel are going to get even more expensive.
I don't know how they managed to drive a car in this country.
It's ridiculous. Nowadays it's difficult to survive. You know what it is? I used to fill this car up for £44. Now it's nearly £60.
How's it affecting your business?
It's ridiculous. I mean, we filled this up the other day and it was £100.
It's scary. And it's the fact that it just goes up and up and up and up and up, and there doesn't seem to be any end to it.
What do you think the government should do about that?
They've got to do something about the tax. A huge proportion of the price is tax. And, OK, the recent price increases aren't due to increases in tax, but they've got to do something about it. It has a knock-on effect on absolutely everything.
Diesel is more expensive than petrol, partly because of tax, but also because of supply and demand. And demand worldwide for diesel is growing. In fact, 45% of new cars sold in Britain run on diesel. Diesel engines are more efficient. You'll get more miles per gallon from diesel than petrol, and you'll pay less road tax because they have lower CO2 emissions. Most transport companies use diesel to fuel their vehicles, and their rising costs are going to be passed on to customers.
Delivering things into the supermarket, it'll have to go by road, at least for most of that journey, or part of that journey, and that price of fuel taxation on road fuel is crippling that part of the industry and actually putting up prices. We've seen it already in the shops. Prices are starting to increase marginally, and part of that is the increase in fuel costs.
Business for a long time been able to absorb the costs of the rising costs of diesel and fuel, but it's got to a stage now they can no longer do that, and the worry is they'll have to start passing these costs on to the consumers.
What we're saying to the government is give us a break, really. Look to see if there's some way of deferring that against essential commercial operations.
In October, it's already planned a 2p increase in the price of fuel duty, which is no justification for, in a slowing economy and rising prices, extra tax increase are not justifiable.
The people who really get hurt, the small hauliers, who are fighting on low margins and no possibility really very often of passing that increase along. So they can't do it, and it affects their bottom line. So much so they might have to start doing other things. How do they cope with that? If they've got to spend money on fuel, it's less money they can spend on other things, like developing the company maybe, like training their drivers to be more efficient with their vehicles. So it's a catch-22 for that sort of operation.
Do you think that means that some of those companies are going to go out of business?
There's a distinct possibility for some. It's difficult to say, really, and how they are coping with it in that sense. They'll obviously try and cope with it in other ways and try and defer costs elsewhere before going out of business. But it might mean laying off staff, which is bad news for the economy locally as well.
I suppose the government will say, well, we're trying to get the economy less dependent on fossil fuels, and one way of doing that is to basically make the polluter pay and to try to encourage the economy to be a different shape, really. It might be difficult in the short term, but long term that's going to benefit the environment, isn't it?
I think everyone recognised the argument around the environment, and definitely have all got to work towards that sort of ideal, but there's a way to do it, a step-by-step approach, and these sharp sudden price hikes are just unacceptable. Business cannot adjust in time to do that and leave them uncompetitive and put people out of business. The government needs to look way to increase taxes, but invest that back in public transport, invest in infrastructure so people have an alternative.
The only thing you can do to cut your fuel prices is to shop around. The prices vary from fuel station to fuel station. Richard Butt, Channel M News.